It's that OnlyLens review time again, bringing vintage to the new age with a Pentax K1000 50mm manual lens adapted to my Sony A7iv.
How's it going, everyone? This is Kevin. Today I want to bring along with me to do my OnlyLens review on the Pentax K1000 50mm lens adapted to my Sony A7iv. So let's jump right into it. So I have a Pentax K1000 camera that was my grandfather's, that was given to me, that I use for film photography. So I was curious to see how good it would perform using it on my Sony A7iv for some photo and some video work here today to see how well it performs and if it's something that you should be doing with some old manual lenses to adapt them to your new mirrorless cameras. See, because sometimes you want to have that little vintage feel of lenses, so I'm going to see if it actually adds a lot of cool little vibes to it or not, and see what we can make out of it with this little bit of a lens setup. So we're gonna do some portraits and just see what we can find here outside in the good old nature, and just give you some nice examples and my thoughts on this little lens. And I'm using a K&F concept, which is a PK to E mount adapter, so that I can use my Pentax into my Sony A7iv. And that's the only thing that I've been adding to, I can kind of have it be able to be used with my Sony A7iv. So we'll see how good it performs.
We got some crispy, nice footage using the Pentax 50mm lens. This is a great little cool lens that adds a vintage look to the footage, which is also pretty nice to have a manual focus because you're able to just have that focus point that you want as you're moving along. It's also a little bit of a drawback if you're not really used to it, but it's still a lot of fun to use. So here we're using a couple photos to make sure that we can just test out the surroundings with this lens and just try to do full body portraits, up close portraits, anything that we need to get a little bit of symmetry with the trees and the roadway that we have right here. But you know, wanting to make sure that we have that focus point to be nice and secure, to make sure that we have everything nice as sharp as possible, but with a softness of the look because of the vintage lens. This is one of the advantages about using old manual lenses, is that they're not overly sharp, but they're just nice to the eye as you see how nice they are. But we started to get bit, so we just had to keep on going and push through to get the final portraits.
So that's been a little bit of, sample footage, sample photos of we using this lens. We're gonna try to find one more location to keep using it, to give you a little more of my thought process when it comes down to this lens, because so far it's actually been kind of cool because I've kind of figured out a little bit better to know the manual focusing with this camera. With a lens that when it doesn't do like the magnifying of it, now I can see kind of like where it layers the focus on her, which is kind of nice. That way I'm not missing much of the focus and I can get better kind of results with it as much as possible. And that way I can also make sure that if I ever want to take this out more into the go to do more photos with just a manual lens to kind of keep it nice and small, would be kind of cool to do. So we're gonna go try to find another location real quick, get a couple more sample photos, and keep having some fun finding the next location, because it's just getting a little bit buggy out here and we're wanting to make sure we don't get eaten.
We made our way to another location to get a different types of portraits using these bushes and trees behind her to show the softness and the bokeh of this lens. One of the main things that I like about the vintage lenses is just showcasing how the bokeh is a little bit different from the more updated lenses to get these portraits. A little bit of that softness goodness with this lens, which now we're just going to take a couple more portraits in this last location just to capture a little bit more full body style of portraits, just to ensure that we can showcase how the lens works with up close, but also with a little bit more of the full body style, just because we want to cover all our bases. That's the main thing when it comes down to testing out lenses and doing the reviews. I want to try to make sure that I can get as much as I can with different types of shots, just to have a good base all around and have a good time creating these portraits for you guys to see the examples of.
done doing the OnlyLens review on the Pentax 50mm that I have from my Pentax K1000. What do you guys think about the photos, and what do you think about the video using this little bit of a lens when it comes down to using in manual mode for the Sony A7 IV? Personally, for me, I thought it was really cool to use this manual lens because it makes you kind of slow down and just envision more what you're gonna take, get the right settings in, and then take the photos a lot better than having to just go ahead and spray and pray when it comes down to autofocus kind of lenses. Now for this little setup, you probably can get it under $100 to be honest, because this is an old manual lens, and then the adapter itself was like about $25 maybe. So you can kind of get something like this pretty set up for like under $100 if you can find them used nicely. And if not, I'm sure you're not gonna be breaking the bank either if you're trying to find something like this. For me, I already had this lens set up and I wanted to test it out today to bring you guys to do this little review because I've been having a lot of fun doing these OnlyLens reviews, and I appreciate everybody that's put the time and effort into watching them, leaving me your input, and also giving me recommendations of what lenses to do. So I appreciate your time with that and, you know, being a part of this series because it's a lot of fun to do. So I'm gonna keep it going as much as I can with the lenses that I can find to test out and everything. Eventually, I'll probably try to reach out to other brands and see if they wanna sponsor some of the videos in the sense of just lending me the lenses so I can test them out for you guys. So if you have any recommendations, leave them down below because I would love to try to reach out to them and see what they have to say. But for the most part anyways, when it comes down to this lens, pretty cool little setup. I think it's gonna be great. Obviously it takes a little bit more getting used to for me to make sure that I'm very good in focus with things, especially the video part's a little bit harder. But once you kind of get a little bit fine with setting it up with a magnifying intensity to be able to focus it, you get it right. If you're not moving too much, you're gonna be more than likely really fine in focus. So that's something I thought it was cool. We got some nice little photos out here, got some nice little videos, and just had a fun time with you guys today. So I appreciate that. And I'm just excited for this video and for you guys to get to this part of the video from watching it. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.